The Department of Education is a fraud, it is a scam, and it is a Ponzi scheme, or at least that is what some of you are saying in my direct messages. So I thought for this video, I would address how the Department of Education allocates their funds, accounts for and oversees the spending of those funds, and how reporting and auditing actually works to ensure that the Department of Education is not actually a scam or a Ponzi scheme. Let me assure you, there is a process for distributing and tracking federal educational funding that comes from the Department of Education. The Department of Education allocates funds through grants and financial aid programs as authorized by laws like the ones I talked about in my last video, like the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, and also the ones that I've referenced before, like the Individuals with Disability in Education Act. I am going to use Title I funding as an example. So it is distributed to states and educational agencies based on poverty data from the Census Bureau. Then the state education agencies pass those funds onto local education agencies like your local school districts. Then after that, your local schools receive these funds to support specific programs. Now, to make sure that the money actually reaches its intended destination, there is a reporting system where local education agencies have to submit detailed expenditure reports to the state education agencies to show exactly how these funds were spent. Then, in turn, the state agencies have to report back to the Department of Education through systems, hold on, I wrote it down, like the National Public Education Financial Survey, which is managed by the National Center for Educational Statistics, which, by the way, I mentioned before, I believe was greatly impacted by the recent government layoffs. However, these reports are publicly available and they're audited to verify compliance. So there's no secrets. It's very transparent. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the system is flawless. Obviously, some funds may be mishandled and local districts may not be spending the money wisely or how you think it should be spent. But at the end of the day, there is only like 8 to 10% of the total U.S. public school funding coming from federal sources, while the rest comes from local governments. This means that the federal funds are a small but very targeted piece of the pie, and really it comes down to how states and districts manage their funds. So, in conclusion, I think we can all agree that the Department of Education is not a Ponzi scheme or a scam. And again, I personally don't think that the answer is to get rid of the Department of Education so that there is less funding for our schools and less oversight. But as always, that's my opinion, and I would love to hear your thoughts.